Добрый день, дорогие друзья.
Good afternoon, dear friends. We're happy to welcome everyone who was able to join us today. And first of all, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to each of you who were able to join us at the end of November, who supported the 6th International Theosophic Congress. As you know, it took place in Nizhny Novgorod. Thank you so much for your active participation online and offline, for your amazing words of support that you voiced to us, and you supported each speaker and each organizer. Social media posts, your activities, all that means a lot to us, because such a great event that takes place at the international level, of course, it requires hard work of the whole team. So thank you, all of you who joined us, who worked with us on the 26th and the 27th of November. Thank you so much. So this is December, and we're very happy to continue the studies of the Secret Doctrine. Of course, this is the basis, the foundation of the system of the studies of the Secret Doctrine. It is a particular movement, and we are trying to extend it to various planes of consciousness, to extend it to those who already are familiar with these works and those who are only at the beginning of their path, of their journey. We're trying to explain each word, each notion, to give life to it, to also discuss the practical aspects of it. And of course, we have the help of the Agni Yoga practices of Rurik, and also the color chakra as well. It is this example of the system, of the practical application of this knowledge, because when we apply this knowledge in our everyday life, if we apply the thoughts that we are studying, we can imitate and create the particular space, and to have the comparison, how our nidanas are moving in a particular direction, what energy is the energy of the day, and how we are changing and developing, if we are developing and changing. Because the main purpose of the studies is to change ourselves, to become better. But how can we do it? For that, there are many systems, many approaches and methods, and we offer a particular system. It's the United System of Maham that the teachers of the humanity have given us for the whole third thousand of years, and it explains not only the reason of the creation of the cosmos, of the nature of human beings, but also it explains the development of the human consciousness. And we have this consciousness, and we are this consciousness, and we want each human being to be able to feel this happiness of being able to become better, and that it is possible to exist in this hierarchy, in this eternal movement. This is happiness for each consciousness. It happens at a particular point of time, and it's great that our study classes, our international webinars, that they have a lot of views after our broadcasts. And I know that there are discussions in groups in Russia, and people gather in groups and they watch our webinars and they write to us, and we have feedback from them. And as a result, we have this lively discussion, and this lively discussion is the most important thing. And that's why today, as tradition, we suggest that, or while listening to this or that thought that is discussed in the system of the discussion, we suggest that you share your thoughts, and that will enable us to collaborate to open new paths for each of us, so that together we will have the opportunity to work within one energy. We have Ksenia Persova and Polina Romantsova as interpreters with us today. Thank you so much for being with us during these 2 hours. We wish you good luck so that all the thoughts will be conveyed properly to everyone who was able to join us today. And we also thank all the technical support who help us with the presentations, preparations, who prepare the publications, and who will support us during these 2 hours so that there wouldn't be any technical glitches, because the quality of the technical support is important, so that the thought, the quality would be good, because it will be a worth of Theosophy. It will be in the same level as Theosophy. So today we continue the studies of the second stanza of the fifth Sloka. Of course, each day is a new day. Why? It's the beginning of another cycle. 24 hours are behind us, and we almost breathe out, we wake up, and we start the movement of our own time. It happens in particular nidanas, energies within Kala Chakra, and it's important in which energies it happens, so that we'll be able to have the comparative analysis, so that we'll be able to be ready to prepare ourselves for unexpected things. It enables us to go through unexpected things easily. We will keep our calm because we will be confident that this system is the foundation for us. Because if we have the foundation, if we use our heart, mind, energy, and we have this connection with the foundation, we won't be able to lose our balance within the energies of each day. We'll be able to live through the challenges. We'll be able to meet challenges of psychological nature, of other nature, because all that is one united process, and everything will pass. But the happiness of existence, the happiness of the evolutionary plane that the teachers of humanity have given us for us to develop, to move to the new cycle, to more spiritual, for a better cycle that is at the same level as human beings are, it has already come. So I'd like to congratulate with all of that. As for the energies, as for nidanas, as for the thought of the day, and we have the great nidana, that is what Mr. Yari will talk about today, the head of the School of Theosophy. Brothers, sisters, dear friends, good afternoon. So let's start. Let's start with unexpected things. But what is unexpected should have been expected, because all of us have already read about the thought of the day by Elena Petrovna Blavatsky, and she has proposed this thought for us within the Pearl of the East. The thought of the day is the following one. Remember that life is wearing off, and a smaller part of it is left daily. Well, it's more or less clear that the main thing we should think about here is that we need to become responsible for the parts of life that we've lived through, that are already behind. And the way that we live our life, we can live it either responsibly or irresponsibly. And that is what influences on the evolution of our consciousness. And we also have the tip from the Wheel of Time. These are the combinations of nidanas. We have the following combination of nidanas today. We have the epoch, the era of the blue monkey. It's the symbol of beauty, of thought, the thought of human beings. This thought should be based on the spiritual beginning, on the spirituality, because it helps people to create the new astral body of the higher level, will be able to get away from the lower habits. As for the Hierophant, it's the sector of the Aquarius, the blue monkey. As for the ages of the white dragon, we're repeating the major nidanas. The age of the white dragon, it's in line with a complete wisdom. It's the condensate, if you like, of the wisdom. The white color is the symbol of the ether, or the condensate of the ether. It's ready to be reflected. So this is the age. And as for the year, it's the year of the black tiger. It's of esoteric nature. It's still going on. But this is the beginning of the black hair, starting from the 29th of October. Since the 29th of October, since the beginning of the week of the black hair, that's the beginning of the new year. The year starts within the calendar year. And the black hair, for us, has particular mysteries, but the mysteries for those who follow the wheels of time rules have already been predicted. And we're ready to accept this idea, the idea of the black hair. How do we accept it? We accept it with our feelings, with our consciousness and mind, because the esoteric side is based on the silence of the voice of the silence. And we feel the necessity, the need of the time. The impetus is given by the black hair. This year, the year of the black hair, opens to us the new prospects. The spiritual human beings can be formed. And this process is based on the idea of the application of the new thought, new idea, the acceptance of the new world, the acceptance of the world of this society that is being transformed at the esoteric level. Why? People feel the changes in the time, and these changes have a particular form of expression, and these forms of expressions are the cause. The black hair is the cause, and the cause is in the learning nature, learning ability, and this learning ability will make one person different from another person. So this year we'll be able to notice and see this division, clear division of those who are able to learn, to have this learning tool, and those who lack this learning tool. The black tiger year has given the impetus to the creation, to the birth of the ability of human beings to learn, the ability to learn about new worlds, the ability to learn about new circumstances, new environments, and to learn how they can create the new consciousness in these new conditions. This is the new movement, the movement according to the new life, in accordance with the thought of the day. We will be responsible here, taking into account the knowledge and the ability to learn, having the power to learn. Thus, we have the direction that we need to follow to learn during the year. This is the new path for us, the new journey that will enable us to form our consciousness. As for the month, we have the month of the white boar. The white boar itself says that this is the female nature because it goes the second. The first one is the element of the white dog, and the second one is the white boar. The first principle is of male nature, the second one is of female nature. The female nature is the condensate, it is the sum of all the notions, of all the characteristics that are expressed in the new consciousness. In other words, humans have renewed their consciousness, have become renewed. This is the principle brought to us by the white boar. So let's have a look at the week of the white dog. The white dog complements this ether by the toughness of the personality, because as Nidana, the dog is the symbol of the personality, and the toughness of the personality, it can be explained by the fact that the personality has already been defined in the world. It knows how to act and how to live, what it needs to live. In front of the dog, we have the white dragon, the symbol of the age. And in accordance with the age, we have the happiness for the white dog. It's the white dragon. It's right in front of the white dog. In this wheel of time, we can see that they are opposite each other. The white dog is based on the energies of the white dragon, of the complete wisdom. So it means that the impetus given by the white dog in the white boar month will give us the creation of the new worldview in accordance with the energies in which the personality has been formed. As for the focus, we have the focus of Ray. The focus of Ray is the white tiger. Everything goes we go from the wider aspect to the narrower aspects. And for that, the ray needs to become more focused, more concentrated. And this ray, the ray of the white tiger, expresses it reflects not only the day we live in right now, but it also shows how Adam Kodmor, the symbol of the of Nidana, of the white of the white cow, shows us that in accordance with the constellation, it is the will of God, Sephiros, if you like. And we always need to take a particular approach when we talk about divine things. We shouldn't try to imagine the image and to pray to this image, and then this image gets destroyed. The idol gets destroyed, and then teachers appear and they give us new impetus for the humanity, so that human beings will be able to accept the reality. We need to take the divine approach when we think about ourselves and we need to do it each day. And Nidana show us the laws in accordance to which we need to live.
So if we start to approach ourselves from the point of divinity, we'll understand the essence that will create this creative ray within us that will allow us to change our own nature from within. And we will talk about changing our nature later, but now I'll read you something important. So the blue monkey that represents the era. First of all, we need to learn how to communicate with everybody, to know how to communicate with all types of minds, of consciousness. But before you learn how to do that, you need to understand the canon. So to understand how God speaks to each consciousness. And that's how you will become one with the community. So this is the era. But the century tells us that we need to awaken our consciousness, to awaken the warmth and light within us. And this is the wisdom that will come to you only on one condition, when you open your heart and start loving the absolute truth. And then the warmth and the light will come through this heart. And according to the wisdom of humanity. So the year of the black tiger. The tiger to manifest its energy, its esoterical energy that we have already discussed. He does it through concentration. So being attentive is what allows, that will allow you to, during the year of the black rabbit, will allow you to learn and to perceive nature around you. So this is how the tiger, the male principle, and rabbit, the female principle, unite. Just like a mother and father. So this is the state in which we are, and esoterically during the year of the black rabbit, we have approached this stanza, the fifth Sloka of the second stanza. And unexpectedly, this all works within laws that weren't expected by us. Because only God knows what's in the future holds. So to have a feeling, a sense of what comes to you in the future, you need to be attentive and perceptive and use this ability that you have to understand the world's harmony and to perceive it and save it. So the black tiger is all about the concentration and attentiveness. So this is the ray. Now we go to the month of the white boar. The white boar, first of all, demands you to be strong, to remain composed. If you can't do that, you won't be able to hear, to see, to feel, and understand. That won't, if you can't hold your composure, you won't be able to do that. You need to control your feelings. And to have control over your feelings is to be able to contain your desires. So this will help you to stay composed. the weak or the white dog. It demands from a tough person to have patience. If you don't have patience in the male principle, and the white boar is a female principle. So you won't be able to hold your composure if you don't have patience. So you need to work on your patience. And the year of the white tiger, if we unite all of these terms, we can understand what we need to do. So our thoughts need to be in alliance with these terms, with these thoughts that we get from the combination of these nidanas. And then we'll be able to create and to transform ourselves. So what does that mean? The tiger, the Sephiroth, the ray is manifested first of all in love. And love, or the power of love, can be manifested only through beauty. So your sense of beauty needs to be there. And the sense of beauty will help you to achieve truth, the true wisdom, the true knowledge. And this ray, in its essence, a three-dimensional essence, needed to be formed today. So this ray symbolizes your path, the path of your consciousness, your goal, which you need to reach. And this idea is in the constellation of Leo. So this fire, the second fire, in the color chakra. The first we had in Aries, the second in Leo, and the third in Sagittarius. So in the second fire, this spatial fire and the constellation of Leo corresponds to the plane of creativity and mind. So all these powers of creativity and mind, they have a fiery nature. So the concentration of light within us manifests in spatial fire. And the concentration of mind that within this light that attracts and makes it possible for you to concentrate, to be patient, to hold your composure. So this fire reaches your mind, and through your mind, it gives you a germ of the soul, so helps you to transform your consciousness. And then the person changes his mindset. The person starts to feel more clearly, to understand the reality, becomes more grounded. And that's how he improves. So this spatial fire purifies your mind. And the fire born within the person, he extinguishes the bestial energy. So the person transforms reality around him in unity with the cosmos. So it's up to a person to free himself. No other entity can regroup his skatha and help him to reach the pure essence of our nature. So this is a combination of events that allows us to consciously learn and understand ourselves. And that's how transmutation happens on the physical plane. It can be just one, either intellectual or spiritual, because your intellect is connected to the world, and your spirituality is tied to the high ether. I would say it's closer to the matrix material, because the material of matrix is a highly sensitive substance. So this substance, matrix, that is Mala Prakriti and Akasha, that is the power of everything, of all the future forms, because in Akasha, in the reason of sound, the impulse of the sound is born, and this impulse will create a new light-bearing substance that will envelop the ray. So it's a Hygonian nature of the future moon is where it's at. So here we have the yellow Taurus, the Adam Kadmon, the divine man, this divine man, or a consciousness of unity. It's the harmony. So everything is in harmony. So that's where one ray takes its beginning. And today, the white tiger, and underneath the ray of the white tiger, we have the spirit of Mars. It's a really important factor because the energy of Mars, energy of spirit, is how the spirit manifests. It manifests itself through this substance. And the reason is within the matrix, on the plane of pre-images. And the sound is what bears the light. That's why the sun, born from the material of light, is just isn't born from light, it's manifested through light, the lucid material. And only then is he able to create a new world of ideas. Because ideas, the high ideas, will be born with the astral light. And the astral light is a characteristic of space that creates some sort of a mirror, which in turn is the lucid material that reflects the ideas. So that's how, when ideas are reflected and within time periods, new astral forms are created. And these astral forms need to be accepted by the human mind. And to conclude, I'd like to say that we need to discuss this fifth stanza. So the seven haven't yet been born. The darkness, Svabhavat, was in darkness. So here, this in his stanza Дзyan, you can't add anything really, and you can't take away anything excessive. So here, the darkness and the father mother, Svabhavat, whatever you call it. Svabhavat was in darkness, and father mother were the darkness, and everything is dark. So for our discussion, for our mind, this is just darkness, the darkness, unconceivable darkness. Why is it unconceivable? Because we weren't born for the lucid material. Because what it's the material of light, the lucid material. It's the matrix, the material of matrix that has its own potential. So it produces lumen, and in astral light, it transforms into the lucid material. Well, now let's try to make an effort and leave this darkness and look from a side how these processes work. So pay attention to what kind of darkness your mind is currently situated in. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was quite unexpected, this qualification of the fifth condition of the awakening. The first stanza is all about having the thought of awakening. And the second stanza has the power, the second element that is needed for awakening. So the first can't manifest until the second is reached. And so to qualify this, in the second stanza we have only 6 shlokas. So this is what the fifth shloka is needed to reach the second stanza. And this task for the human mind in this evolutional current, its goal is to reach the second state when the first and the second are united, the Amabutra. And this state, this is what will pierce through the darkness with its third characteristic, when the third stanza will begin. And what Vladimir Vasilievich has said about Nidanos, they are in such a harmony in the fifth shlok of the second stanza. So I guess today is the best day to discuss this stanza, because the white tiger is the fourth in the sector. He gives the form of completion for the future awakening of knowledge, the knowledge of spirit. And in this sector that corresponds to the mind and creativity, where sun is shining, that's where the shloka is taking place, because the seven haven't yet been born. So, and here we have a single idea that unites the first and the second stanza, the state of this, the completion of the second stanza, the future birth and future differentiation. And the fifth shloka that is responsible for reasonable action of each person. So if we grasp the idea of the shloka and keep it in mind throughout our lives, we won't lose our minds. And the sense of light is what will help us too, because without light there is darkness. And in darkness you can't see things, and that's when you make mistakes. So the fifth shloka is responsible for the state of mind.
So in other words, when we say, let's get out of this darkness, it is what it means that we need to get out of this darkness and become more conscious. The Mahatma M number is responsible for the evolution of the whole Manvantara circle. And it is the fragmentation of the state of space. This is the impetus, or it is the pulse of our heart. This is the pulse of life, and it is in line with number 24. The sum is 6, and we know that 6 sins that were given to us by cosmos, they reflect the great power of nature, is the manifestation of nature, and all of those can be perceived by human beings, but these 6 forces can also be obtained by human beings. Once human beings have these forces, they can move on to the seventh one. It's the beginning of another consciousness act that presupposes some kind of economy. Conscious act needs economy. What do I mean by economizing? It's a very strange term to use when we talk about secret doctrine. The saving, the economizing is one particular state. It is the harmony. The harmony is responsible for economizing. So the 5th sloka, it combines the 4 together. It is responsible for the force of consciousness that will be reflected, and it brings us the greatest harmony that we need to strive towards. All our heart power we need to use to strive towards this feeling, and it gives us the continuous movement according to Santana. It's the individual life path. It's the heart movement. It's the continuous movement of all the expressions. In each expression of human beings need to strive towards it. And the light of Manada, from one cycle to another, gives us new tasks, new challenges, but this should be continuous, because if it is continuous, it enables us to get to this harmony. This is the comparison within the 5th sloka. So we have prepared the animation for you. It is of an extended nature today, so that we'll be able to get out of our own understanding, to extend our own traditional understanding, because we have talked about that on multiple occasions during the seminars, at the school, during the congresses. We have talked about these ideas. And there is a particular step that we always do when we talk about such things. But today, we need to get out of this framework, to get away from our own understanding. It's the 5th sloka, the 5th state. Why not? What does the 5th sloka, the 5th state, give us? It gives us the 5th step, fohata. So the 5th step, fohata, is the foundation. It is the place of action, the place of birth of the creation. So the 5th sloka is in line. It corresponds with the 5th step of sahata. It is the ability of getting outside of our own understandings. We have imagined something, but then we try to use different points of view to get outside of this understanding, to understand what this sloka is about, to connect it with other slokas, so that the 6th sloka will complete the 2nd stanza and we'll be able to move on to the 3rd state. So I wish all of us good luck. So let's follow this thought and let's try and see how the energies can combine, how they can open up for us from various points of view, and how they can give us new connections to new notions. Why is secret doctrine important? We have good images there, good descriptions of father and mother, but once you delve into all that, the new plane of information opens up and you collect new figures, new parts of pieces of information, and they build up the whole image that consists of various particles, of various pieces, and we need to see it as a whole. The second sloka is responsible for that. It's related to the first sloka. It is the foundation. The fifth one defines the place where potentially it's going to be developed. So I wish all of you success, good luck. So let's switch to the presentation. The fifth sloka, the second stanza. The seven have not yet been born from the fabric of light. The one darkness was the father, mother, Svabhavat, and Svabhavat was in the darkness. So the first question that can be raised here is, why exactly seven? In other words, what is the main idea here? Why exactly seven? So let's look at the previous slokas that have created the fifth sloka. So let's trace back, take a step back and look at the previous slokas. The ray has not yet penetrated into the embryo. The ray is septenary. The mater padma has not yet swelled. The second one, her heart has not yet opened up for the introduction of a single ray, and a single ray is also septenary. And the third one, in order to then cast it down, like 3 into 4, into the depth of Maya. 3 in 4, and this is sevenfold. That is a description of seven, of what has not yet been born is given. The mater padma has not swollen, the ray has not yet penetrated into the embryo, and the heart has not opened to receive this ray and manifest or cast it down, or emit, very good word, as 3 into 4. The seven have not been born yet from the fabric of light. So in the beginning, we had the darkness, and when space changes its structure, fabric and light will appear. That is a denser state, which will be able to manifest the first force of the impulse of the manifestation of the first seven. And it's interesting to reflect a little bit in this context, what is the state of space that hasn't yet become the fabric of light. This is a state of one darkness, when there was a single state of the first two, father and mother. The first two. So it means that in the future there will be the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh. And the state, when there are the first two, father and mother, or spirit and matter, and that is the spirit that didn't separate and didn't begin its movement yet within this matter. And if the spirit is the completion of the matter, as we know, then in this cycle, there was no completion of matter yet within the cycle. In other words, the pralaya still lasted. There was no division, dissection of one space. It hasn't yet occurred. And the fabric or the state of space was not yet ready to accept the first impulse, which is responsible for the movement of light. That is, the light was still in darkness, and there was no reflection of light. And in the future, it is going to be reflected. There was no correlation of the light, and that is, the fabric was still in the process of being created. As soon as the fabric acquires an ideal structural surface, what is the ideal structural surface? It is the state of harmony. And only in the state of the great harmony and balance, this fabric will make the first reflection of light possible. And only then the reflection of light will be complete. The light is never reflected when the surface is not ideal, when it's not perfect. The reflection of light will be complete or ideal. It will be perfect. Within this concept that we're talking about, how can spatial fire manifest itself? We know that the primary substance of space, when we talk about the mother and father, the spirit and matter, these are the primary substances of space. The fire is the primary substance of space. Everything that exists is fire. The whole space is filled with fire or fiery substance. And the fiery substance, what is it? It is condensed fiery energy. It can become dense. And when it becomes dense, the matrix matter appears. The matrix matter manifests only in the higher layers, and it can reach our atmosphere only in fohatic sparks. What is this connecting point? The connecting principle between all the worlds in the entire manifested space is this spatial fire. What is the primary substance of space? What is the spatial fire? It is the connecting principle between all the worlds at all the planes. Fire exists everywhere in the universe, and this fire contains everything. There is not a single form of life, from the lowest to the highest, that does not have fire at its core. All life in the universe begins with fire and ends with fire, after cooling in matter. All worlds were conceived by fire, and they are purified and transformed by it. This movement or this notion of fire is really great. All worlds are transformed by fire. They begin with fire, and the transformation, the changes, is life. As Elena Petrovna says, fire is not an element, but it's something divine. And if we look at the physical flame, which is the objective carrier of the Supreme Spirit, then we'll be able to see that fire elementals are the highest. And everything in the world has its aura, as we know, and everything has its spirit. And the flame with which you light a candle has nothing to do with the candle itself. The aura of the object connects with the lower part of the ether. Elena Petrovna, or rather Elena Rerich, says that granite cannot be burned because its aura is fire. Fire elementals have no consciousness on this plane. They're too lofty. They reflect the divinity of their own essence. And within this context, as the symbol of this essence, granite can be this symbol. It can melt with the temperature 1000 degrees Celsius, if I'm not mistaken, because its aura is the fire. And this essence that reflects the divinity, is the nature of the fire. Other elementals possess consciousness on this plane because they reflect man and his nature. But elementals don't do that because they reflect only their divine essence. The elementals of fire relate to the sense of sight, and they absorb the elementals of all other senses. Through sight, you can have the consciousness of touch, hearing, taste, and so on, because they are all contained in the sense of sight. The elementals of fire are the connecting points. Fire is a deity and its subjective omnipresence in the universe. It is omnipresent, and in other conditions, the universal fire manifests, and it manifests as water, air, and earth.
Okay, let's continue. So with time, air will be more and more filled with ether. And when the super ether fills the air, there will be children born without fathers. So let's see. Precisely the single element in our visible universe is the Kriyashakti of all forms of life. It generates fire, light, heat, death, etc. Even blood, and in all of its various manifestations, it has one single identity. It's the essence of all the seven cosmocrats. And if it's the essence of the seven cosmocrats, we understand the seven have not yet been born, in according to this Sloka, because the essence of fire has not been yet revealed. Seven have not yet been born from the fabric of light. The first thought hasn't been born. It's the Kriyashakti, which at birth will produce the emergence of the seven, and they will create their first fire body themselves. They will weave it themselves, and this body will become the fabric of light. And this body of causality will be perfect. The fabric of light and the seven are the singular state of space, when fire is equal to absolute light. And this fire will create the future universe. It will have the reflection of light, heat, moisture, life, and death. And this idea we can find in the description of the next evolutionary cycle by HPV. So there will be a cycle when women will give birth to children without men. And the seventh circle, there will be people who can reproduce themselves. In the seventh phrase of the first circle, people will change their skin every year, and they will have new fingers and toenails. People will become more psychic than spiritual. And the last ones to be born in the seventh circle will be the Buddhas. It's an interesting thought. But why finger toenails? What does she mean here? Well, because they will become radiant, they will become rays of light. They will learn to create with spots or rays. And we can assume that if at the very beginning, at the dawn of Manvantara, the seven created their own bodies, which is the fabric of light, then also at the end of the seventh circle, humanity will possess the same power. So the evolution completes itself, and the completion is the return to the beginning. So the seventh circle, when the Buddhas will be born, so all the form will be so dense and refined that it will reach light of the divine of Buddha. And this is the first apparent reflection of fire. So what will happen? This will be the repetition of creation, but on the physical plane of reality. And how will it happen? Well, by the force of impulse. And when the force of the impulse is directed towards the seed of the creative fire, then the aspiration of consciousness produces life. Thus, all transformation of cosmos tends as manifestations of spatial fire, and the life impulse awakens matter to life. Its components are sensations, feelings, thinking, and reason, which all comprise your consciousness. Consciousness is the cosmic seed of supercosmic omniscience. It has the potential to blossom into the divine consciousness. Spatial fire is a potential consciousness or the foundation of mind, and the manifested mind is cosmic mind. So the manifested mind is the collective mind of the hierarchy of light. So when one becomes consciousness, he becomes a part of this hierarchy, the hierarchy of light. And the fiery consciousness will provide the key for recognition, as it has the primal fiery matter. The primary fiery substance, or as it's called, the fire of the mother of the world, the fire of infinity, Aditi. So Aditi is described by Helena Petrovna in various ways. So first, Aditi is the embodiment of the life energy of the universe. And Aditi can be also defined as a cosmic creator. And Aditi is the supreme consciousness, the divine wisdom, the absolute space in its highest spiritual sense. The fire of the mother of the world is a fiery substance. And if we speak about the atoms, fiery substance, we need to cite Елена Ивановна Рерих, who describes the main property of the atom is magnetism. And magnetism is the basic quality of fire. Magnetism appears upon the rotation of sparks of fire, and matter is affirmed as a fiery substance. And everything in spirit won't deny the higher power, the fire. So, if a person attains consciousness, it becomes a part of the collective mind. And naturally, how can he deny himself? Because he exists. So he cannot deny the power of fire, the divine power of fire. So how does science, what does science say about it? Well, it can destroy the concept of the divine fire. Just as religion can't ban the analysis of the science of fire. So sooner or later, science and religion will unite, and they will work together as the fire. So what is the substance of fire? In the Secret Doctrine, it's described as akasha. So an even finer quality than ether. And interestingly, ether and ice have one property in completely different states. Ice, as a great magician, and its occult properties are as little known as the properties of ether. So it's occultly connected with the astral light, and under certain conditions, it can reflect certain images from the invisible astral world. Just as you can make light and a light-sensitive plate reflect stars that cannot be seen even with a telescope. And this is well known to experienced yogis who live in the eternal snows of Badrinath in Himalayas. That's where Lord Shiva resided one time. And he gave his powers to yogis in Badrinath to perceive these images, the great occult properties. In an again case, ice has the ability to preserve images of objects that are imprinted on their surfaces under certain light conditions, and these invisible images persist until the ice melts. And besides ice, there is also high-grade steel that has the same properties. And the Nidana of the day, Nidana of the week, those are ether, Nidanas, the white boar, ether, the white dog, ether, the white tiger, also ether. If we take these three properties, we can also see that the spiritual triangle of the day is connected to the week of the white dog. It's the same as that Nidana. So ether or steel, the concept of ether and ice that have the same properties under different conditions that can preserve an image until the ice melts, and high-grade steel. It's an interesting thought. Maybe we will be able to think it through later. So man being a part and the reflection of cosmos is similar to this cosmos. That's why man is limitless in his possibilities. And if we take a look at the energy system of man, that has been deeply researched in Indian philosophy, and this energy system was used in India by healers. So you can see that the person is a magnet whose properties are very diverse, because the energy system of a human is the unity of different magnetic poles and chakras that exist within the same structure, formed by different processes of exchange. The exchange between the person and the outside world. And it's the analog of the structure of the atom. So that's what atom is comprised of. So atom has a fixation of the exchange process between two waves, direct and indirect currents. So that's why his division is limitless. And it's hard to see, to perceive the atom, because it's always moving and it's always transforming and changing. So that's how we can understand why. That's how we understand the energy system of human is similar to that of an atom. So the eternity in this great book, we have a citation. When the element of fire destroys a phenomenon on the planet, the place must be reborn with fire. And when the element of water engulfs land, it means that the land must be cleansed. Thus, does the element of fire and the element of thought and human deeds govern planetary karma. And this is how we direct humanity to a better stage. And we can accelerate these exchange processes. So help the atomical structure come to life. And the ability to use this energy is what important. This great tetrahedron, its power and unity of different cosmic energies instanced by aspiring fire. Every pulsation of life has in itself the manifestation of a spark of fire. Each aspiring pulsation of life is marked by a cosmic magnet, and likewise the thought of pulsation instanced by fire. How many wandering thoughts fill the space? The space vibrates with thoughts, vibrates with the current of spirit, and that what foreshadows cosmic creativity. And in the future we'll say this. The spatial fire is some kind of psychic life. So of course, when you have spatial fire, you have psychic life. That's why every atom of space therefore has a psychic life, because in other words, each atom has its psychic life. It has a soul, consciousness. So every atom of this space can think and feel. Every pulsation of life has in itself the manifestation of a spark of fire. Then thought is a pulsation that stands by fire. And the thought devoid of the vibration of spirit is a phenomenon of deadness. It's a dead thought, because only the vibration of spirit can create. And then the thought is a pulsation danced by fire, can give that energy of creativity. That's an important thought. And each creative mind, each creative consciousness is the manifestation of spatial fire. So the movement and aspiration of fire lies in the principle of light. because nothing will outstrip the light, for it is supported by jets of omnipresent fire, and only absolute darkness merges with darkness, and absolute light merges with light. And the distance between them, between the light and darkness, it's so great and measured by the concepts of absolute non-existence and absolute being. And somewhere between these two poles, we have the great man, the consciousness. And the man's goal is to gather the light within himself in order to enter and merge into the absolute light. That's how we have the plans of evolution of a person, of cosmos, of nature, to enter and merge with the absolute light. All thoughts, feelings, and even moods of a person are closely connected with light, and it colors him. It has already been proven by scientific experiments that feelings and moods have their own colors. They can be golden, pink, violet. And negative thoughts are usually red, black. So black is hatred, is irresponsibility, is what distorts this space with dark colors, gray, blood red, and black. So these rays are rays of the dark consciousness, and people are responsible for the cleanliness and beauty of the space. And the best purifier will be light, because the positive colors are harmonious and luminous, and we can see them in the rainbow. In the rainbow, you see the basic tones, and the area of light and colored rays is very extensive. So, what connects the state of a person's consciousness or his expression of thought with the radiation of light? Well, it's not that hard to understand because we've already spoken about the fire elementals that are responsible for sight and how they unite all the other human senses. So these are the human eyes. It's well known that the color of a person's eyes doesn't change throughout his incarnations. The color of the eyes, the retina, is what determines the person's character. And we return to the idea of eyes and ether. This is the same what happens to the human iris. So this is an organ that has the ability to perceive electromagnetic radiation in the wavelength range, and it provides a function of vision. Inside the eye, we have the retina, on which the image is projected as a film on a camera. It consists of photoreceptors and nerve cells. The data received by the retina is transmitted via the optic nerve to the brain, where the picture we see is formed. So the key point, the fabric of light, is like the retina. It is capable of radiating and seeing at the same time. At this point, we can expand this thought. The ability to see and to radiate light at the same time. This is a classical essence. It's a Svabhavat that we have talked about in the fifth Sloka, the state of Svabhavat, that within itself changes, but doesn't manifest. It can radiate and see at the same time. So it's an interesting thought to hold. You can think about it later in the context of this shloka. So what is retina? It's the inner shell of your eye. It's a peripheral part of the visual analyzer. It contains photoreceptor cells that provide perception and conversion of electromagnetic radiation from the visible part of the spectrum into nerve impulses, and also provides processing.
So let's look at the structure of the human retina. The retina of an adult has a diameter of 22 millimeters, and it covers about 72% of the area of the inner surface of the eyeball. Of course, any number is the esoteric symbol. What is 22? The sum is 4. 4 is the form of internal state. 7 plus 2, the 72%, also give us the sum. It's 9. It's the spiritualization of the form. 7 multiplied by 2, and multiplication is the transformation, it's the movement, the connection of two septenaries. It gives us 14, a full circle connecting the inner and the outer. If you remember, this is what we talked about when the atom has the main quality, the connection between the inner and the outer, the anatomical structure, the consciousness of the conscious human being can do that. 14 gives us the sum of 5. What is 5? It's the pentagram. It's the symbol of man. And the fifth principle is the highest manas, or mind, or a reasonable person. The retina of the eye is the expression of a human being, conscious human being, radiating and having the ability to see at the same time. And we can see the atomic structure from the universe to human being. That is how the fabric is formed. And this action, this ability corresponds to the state of space of the fabric of light of the universe. This is how it's formed. Let's see what's on the inside, what it consists of. Apart from this radiant shell that the retina can perceive. In the central part of this spot, in the area of the fossa, the cones have minimal dimensions and are mosaically arranged in the form of compact hexagonal structures. Hexagonal structures, the symbol of it is the tetragrammaton, and it is the symbol of heart. The sun is the heart of the system, and the human heart is also the sun of the body of the organism. There are many suns or hearts, and the universe represents a whole system of hearts. Therefore, the cult of light is the cult of the heart. And to understand this abstractly means to leave the heart in the cold. We cannot perceive it just by our mind, but as soon as the light of the sun heart becomes life, the need for the warmth of the magnet will shine like a true sun. And that is why it's said to cross Santana's heart. Santana is the current of individual life as a category of concepts of propagation, expansion, connection, flow, instantaneous states. In other words, it is the instantaneous states or dharmas, each of which is caused by the disappearance of the previous one and causes the emergence of the next one. How can we make this notion of heart warmer? The rhythm of the heart is the rhythm of life. The warmth of the heart rushes as fast as the sunbeam to help us. That is the notion given to us by Elena Blavatsky. Then what is the speed of a ray of light? The speed is almost instantaneous. The warmth of the heart is also a particular concept. You can see that it can change the property of space, both internal and external. It can make atom come to life. It gives it movement, and it's of various nature. It's beautiful. With the speed of this ray, we can change our consciousness. And the moment it all happens on the inside and on the outside, the space changes instantaneously. It becomes lighter, it becomes warmer, the new energy appears. And I think that for many times, on multiple occasions, we've been able to see it, but we need to remember it. We need to memorize such moments. We need to turn into ether. We need to become this ice, this high-grade steel, in order to be able to concentrate, to focus this astral light and to keep the memory of this astral light. Because at this very moment, we are able to understand that the light is within us, and it also gives light to everything around us, and people become lighter, warmer. How does it happen? So let's get back to the state of the fifth sloka that's responsible for the fifth principle. When the higher ego fulfills its mission to emit a ray. And what is the mission of the higher ego? To emit the ray. The highest ego is the sun. The lowest ones are the rays of the sun. And when this connection takes place, when the ray of the lower nanos gives the influence, that is when the kisses of heaven and earth take place. And then the pulses of the heart get more rapid, and we can see the sun in these moments. And it's known that Pythagoras could look at the sun without squinting. And in the context of the Great Doctrine and esoteric notions, it means that he had the greatest heart. His retina is a conductor of the heart centers. It merges into a single manifestation of the sun ray from the fabric of spatial light. And this is the example. The great Pythagoras, who is the manifestation of the fabric of the sun, and we can look at it as the task for ourselves. So what is the key point? The sunbeam, or the sevenfold light, is the fifth sloka of the second stanza. 5 plus 2 gives us 7. The 7 have not been born yet from the fabric of light. The 7 are the seven sons, they are the creators of the planetary chain of the universe. And the plastic matter is Svabhavat. The Svabhavat is a plastic entity that fills the universe. Svabhavat is the number. It is the universe in the totality of souls and its composition. So if instead of x of unknown magnitude, if we look at that, we can take 1, or Adi Sanat, the number, or he is 1, the first, to the voice of the word Svabhavat, for it is 1 and 9. Look at the plane, look at where the figures, the numbers are taken from, and we can see the connections. And also have a square without a shape, or Arupa, the third. And these 3 prisoners are inside the circle, or the boundless circle. The essence is the innermost 4, and the 10 are the Arupa. And only then come the sons, or the 7 warriors. Svabhavat, numbers 1 and 9, 1 is 1 spirit, and 9 is 3 and 6, as we were able to see on the screen. 3 are the 3 primary colors of the 3 planes of the spirit or the extra form. A ray is a ray of light of the spirit. It passes through souls and animates them. The fabric of light is the spirit that fills the space, and 7 is the 7 rays. There is the subtonation of the radiant nature of the 7 inside and 7 outside at the same time manifest, and a logos or movement appears. That's why in the comments to this sloka, Elena reminds us about what logos is, what logo are. Logos manifested are potentiality, unmanifested cause. The first logos is impersonal, and in philosophy it is the unmanifested logos, the forerunner of the manifested. This is the root cause, the unconscious or the European pantheists. The logos manifested is still a latent thought, the plane of a reason and creativity, the second logos. The third logos, the creative logos, the third logos, the cosmic numen of matter. These are the intelligent manifestations of nature and in nature. That is why we have the tetragrammaton. Nature it gives us the understanding of Mahamudra. Demiurge, or builder, is the divine force that built the universe. And also we have the Demiurgic mind, the same as the universal mind, the first creation of Brahma, or himself. Demiurgic mind, whose function is to create an intelligent world, also called the Empyrean or fiery world in the oracles, in the image of these ideas. And also, we can see that the function of this mind is to be on the border of creativity and consciousness. And Karl Jaspers, the philosopher, said that the driving force that brings the mind to the point where it falls. And in other words, he talks about the demiurgic mind, because the mind fails under the influence of Mahat or manifested wisdom, represented by these innumerable centers of spiritual energy in the cosmos, the reflection of the universal mind, which is a cosmic representation, and the intelligent force accompanying such a representation becomes objectively a fohat. We can see the Demiurge builder and fohat. Fohat, passing through all the 7 principles of Akasha, acts on the manifested substance or a single element, and differentiating it into various centers of energy sets in motion the law of cosmic evolution, which in obedience to the representation of the universal mind brings to life all various states of being in the manifested solar system. In other words, it turns out that Vahat, by the power of the law, triumphs over reason. So this is the major idea of the 5th sloka. Vahat triumphs over reason. We come to a dead end where the mind fails. The fire cannot withstand this connection. And that's why the ancients, when had their own set of gods, the 7 main secret gods, is exoterically the head of which was the visible sun, or the 8th, esoterically the second logos, the demiurge. There is a big difference between the logos and the demiurge. For one is the spirit and the other is the soul. And only through the 7-fold ray of this light can we comprehend the logos through a demiurge. Considering the latter as the creator of our planet and everything related to it, and the former as the force guiding this creator. And this creator, as Elena says, is neither good or bad. It is the beginning of good and the beginning of evil. This is the creator per se. But his differentiated aspects in nature force him to assume one or another character. So we can draw parallels, how Atma is concentrated at Buddhi, but embodied only in Manas. They are the spirit, soul, and body of the universe. Elena Petrovna in the fifth Sloka gives us a description. The area of the circle is black, and the dot in the circle is potentially white. It pieces the embryo. The beam is drawn back inside this point, and the embryo develops into the second logos, a triangle inside the world egg. The first stage, the potential point. Stage 2 is the line. Stage 3 is the third logos, unmanifested, or the first manifested, in other words, 7 rays. And hence we have a period, a line or 2. The line passes into the surface, forming 3 tetractys, tetrad or 4, if you put a dot under it, and a square becomes a cube as a result of that. The surface of the cube consists of 6 squares, and the unfolded cube forms a cross, in which the vertical line includes 4 squares and the horizontal one includes 3, as a result of which 6 faces give us the number 7, 7 principles or 7 Pythagorean properties of man. Just imagine this sevenfold principle can be described by that. In other words, the logos becomes a tetragrammaton. A triangle or tripole turns into 4, or vertical 4 intersected with horizontal 3. Thus, a 6 cube forms a 7. The 7 principles. You can see that 3 drops to 4. Let's look at different versions of how the symbol 3 can drop into 4 in geometry. We can see state 1, 2, 3 into in one circle. Another concept. The cross divides the space. We can see the first, the second, the third triangles that have a unified structure, and they are interconnected. The first, the second, and the third in the square. Again, these are the triangles that form a united square within one circle. And the same within a triangle. 1, 2, and 3 are connected by one dot, and the triangle becomes complete. In the planes of creativity, that is what we can see. Let's continue with the slides, please. The 3 higher planes drop to 4. This is the full structure, the full system that is given to us. Who are these 3? They are the spirit, will, and mind. They animate the 4 lower principles. A square becomes a cube when each of the vertices of the triangle doubles, dividing into male and female aspects. The Pythagoreans would say once a unit, then twice 2, and hence a tetrad with the same highest unit at the top. It turns out a pyramid with a base having a tetrad in the plan. The divine light descending on it creates an abstract cube. The 6-pointed star or tetragrammaton or the 7 sons are the creators of the universe. And it's no coincidence that human beings would be considered at the third logos. It is the force that has created the universe. The human beings are creative, and they get closer to the understanding of the consciousness of the light. In other words, the 7 have not yet been born from the web of light. Darkness alone was father and mother, Svabhavat, and Svabhavat was in darkness. There was no third logos.
Thank you very much. this concludes the essence of the fifth shloka. So they haven't yet been born because there was no pre-image of manas. So now we are ready to answer your questions. Thank you so much for writing to us. And now soon we'll answer your questions. So about the egg, how does it change and does it even change? Vladimir Silchiari will answer this question. So, poetic egg in itself cannot change. It's the consciousness that changes and becomes closer to the own egg of the mind, and until it reaches the inner consciousness of man, because the or an egg represents the idea and essence of the consciousness. Interesting that or an egg at birth is pure. And there's only one question left. Will it be colored either by higher or lower manas? And this egg can have different colors, either of the higher or lower manas. So at birth is completely pure. But it depends on each person. Another question about Aditi. What can you compare Aditi to? How can you describe it? So this is a fiery state of space. The essence, the fire. So it turns out that Aditi is the fire space, but it contains in itself the potential space. So Aditi is a potential space, it's fire. The first differentiation that happens within this periodic cycles of nature, they are limitless. So space will be called mother only if the cosmic activities weren't carried out. So before that, the space is called mother. The mother father, it's called within the first stage of awakening. And within this fifth shloka, we're talking about the mother father state. So that means it's the first stage of awakening, the second stanza. Aditi is fire, hence. So its potential, it's fire. The potential space that will become mother, then mother father, and so on. So that's how we can describe Aditi. The next question about lucid matter. Can we call it spiritual power? Yeah, we can call it spiritual power, because only the power has the ability to reflect spirituality. You need to have that power to reflect your spirituality. We also know that the lucid matter is the state of the fabric of the mother of the world. It's light-carrying matter. It's luminous. So matrix isn't luminous. It has its own characteristics. But lucid matter is situated on the fifth plane of existence, the fifth sloka, the plane of creativity. And lucid matter is luminous. But it becomes luminous only at the point when Earth is ready to perceive this knowledge of spirit. And that's when within this current of cosmos, it manifests itself. So the matter depends on it heavily. I would like to add that lucid matter is the pure thought, pure feeling, the essence of matter. It's spirit. It can keep the idea of beauty, the feeling of beauty. The next question is, when the seven are born, does the process of creation begin? Well, yes, that's when the process of creation begins, because these seven are the creating light, the creating lights of the consciousness. They create consciousness and they help it to manifest. And through consciousness comes to life your spirit. So the builders, the demiurges, the seven, they create worlds, spheres, planets. In this sense, they're creators. So if we talk about the creation and birth, we know that those are completely different things on planes of existence, especially the seven haven't yet been born. So when they are born, the creation begins. They give the power, because at first we have creation and only then the birth. And these terms are united and create the power of birth, of the germ that will later create and help different things to come to life. If, for example, we take those seven as the higher manas, the higher mind, it's responsible for emanating the ray. But what's interesting, this ray is emitted, and if it's not touched by any negative thoughts, no karma is born. This is important to remember in the context of creation and birth. How do you not contaminate this ray? How do you avoid this bad karma? How do we help these abstract notions come together? What do we do? So if you understand that the higher manas helps to guide our path, the lower manas makes this path an egoistic desire. So it contaminates the ray. And it's important to keep your ray away from contamination. So you need to have your own mind, your own spirit. And in the realm of physical time, they can be accelerated within your life. So this connection between the higher and lower manas is what helps the lucid matter begin its movement in different plane of existence, so within the mind of a person. And only you are responsible for how it acts. The next question, we are receiving questions on WhatsApp too. So the next question, the fohatic, the plastic essence, is there an analog to this? So the nature of the mind is plastic. It's flexible because it can adapt to different elements, to different orbits and different conditions. So this is the flexibility of mind that is in line with the second stanza. The notion of the flexibility, flexible mind is what remanifests again and again. It's something that happens within itself because the essence is what changes within itself. And when you're asking about flexible essence, HPB described it as Svabhavat because Svabhavat is flexible and it's at core of every living creature. So its flexibility or ability to manifest itself, it slides. It has its ability to slide and to change its characteristics one by one until Svabhavat manifests itself. That's why HPB writes, so the world substance is the essence and the spirit, Svabhavat, practically, because it's at core of the essence of every living thing, because it changes itself. So the main characteristic of flexible essence is its ability to change itself. And Pepermobile is the sign of eternity, the eternal eight. This breath of the eternity fixate the characteristic of the substance that helps people understand eternity and accept it, to be one with eternity. We hope that the new ideas and discoveries that we've made happen within the space. And I've been a lot about one thing, and that the fabric of light is the body of the seven, and that the seven weave their bodies themselves. For me, this idea has a continuation. It can continue in your everyday practice if you accept and understand this as a living element. You can also determine how the cosmos has the power to change itself, to weave its own fabric and then share it. So you create your own world and then you share it, and not vice versa. So how usually it happens in life when you share, you haven't even built your own world, but you're already sharing it with everybody. You haven't had the 3 years of silence according to the doctrine. So when you create your own world, then you'll be able to change the state of your mind, and naturally, easily, it'll become a part of the light hierarchy. And that's how this connection comes to be. So the seventh state is really important in to understand the seven, how they build themselves, what kind of energies they needed, how this assimilation happened, the transformation and the manifestation, and how the division happens afterwards. So when HPP writes about the importance of the division of the soul, we can also describe it as your desire to help others, to the first, you have the desire to help or to share, to become a part of this exchange process when you are not self-centered. For example, when you are not participating in everyday life as your community, you won't be able to understand the main idea of the secret doctrine. You won't be able to share it with everybody. And how you act in life is tied to this condition to fohatic, the fifth state. So the atomic structure of the heart that enlivens and warms up the pulsation of our organism. And that's when we understand that we are one with nature and cosmos and the humanity itself. By purifying our consciousness, by expanding it, transmutating and transforming nature, we enrich the world with good deeds. So this is the essence of the secret hidden in the darkness. But darkness is necessary for light to be born. And you know, the great have said once that to maintain the state, to save it, to keep this harmony, how can you share it? How do you make it a part of your everyday life? You need to have a common task that will expand constantly, that won't ever stop. So it will expand, and in this current, you'll become responsible for yourself and for the people in your community. So we wish everyone who is with us today, who is listening to us now on YouTube, to become one and to become a part of this higher hierarchy. And you know, it's easier to do things together. Thank you for being with us today, for writing questions. If we haven't had enough time to answer your question, we will do it later. We'll also like to mention that the next seminar will be held in December, the International Philosophical Seminar. We'll have international speakers. We'll speak about the first Sloka, sixth stanza, the cosmogony. So we invite you to join us on the 24th of December. And on 12th of January, we'll continue online classes and we will talk about the sixth shloka, second stanza. So those 2 days, the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023, is the first shloka, third stanza, and the sixth shloka, second stanza. We're so happy to invite you to be a part of this great event. Thank you. We thank the technical team for being with us today. Thank to all who have helped to prepare the seminar, our interpreters, Ksenia and Polina, and of course, all of you who are following us from seminar to seminar, from congress to congress. It's easier to be together. Light and warmth. See you.